soccer players. I have a question for you. Do you think goalkeepers should do fitness with the rest of the team? And I'm not really talking about the fitness that some of the players do after training on their own. I'm talking about the beep test, Manchester United tests, right?
Honestly, I really like this because this is a very good question. Should goalkeepers be doing the same fitness that the field players are, and should they be tested for that fitness? And we're talking right now about conditioning test, mostly the beep test, the Manchester United test, Cooper test, the Bronco test, things like this. Should they be doing it? And my answer is absolutely not. They really do not need to be doing it. And to explain why, I'm going to say this. First, we have to look at what these tests are actually testing for the athlete. Then we have to ask, is this one of the most important or necessary athletic traits for a goalkeeper in soccer? So, a test like the beep test, the yo yo, Cooper, Bronco test, they are varieties of aerobic capacity test. Some of them correlate to either your lactate threshold or your VO2 max very, very well. Now, is this super, super important for a goalkeeper in soccer? My answer is no. And the reason for this is the goalkeeper in soccer, being that they are a specialist, for the most part, is a pure power and speed athlete. When we look at the bioenergetics of a goalkeeper, when they're actually actively playing in the game, they're almost always using their alactic system, their phosphogenic energy system, which is their maximum intensity energy system that only lasts for a few seconds at a time. They are very, very rarely having to continuously be active for long periods of time during the game, which is exactly what the beep test or the yo-yo test or any of these tests actually test. So they are testing something that is not really specific to what matters for a goalkeeper. So, what does actually matter for a goalkeeper? Well, things that are about speed and power, especially jumping power. So, a vertical jump, a broad jump, some sort of single leg jumping, and also changing direction. So, any type of agility or change of direction test is great. Also, sprinting tests are also great for a goalkeeper. Now, I will say this. I am on record for being very, very critical of many of these aerobic capacity tests, even for field players, because I'm going to be honest with you. If you actually look at the physiological demands in soccer, the beep test, the yo yo test, and most of these things do not actually replicate what even field players are going through, yet goalkeepers, because field players are not continuously running for long periods of time, especially not in a straight line. They're doing high intensity, intermittent, and non linear running. And one way to think of it is this way: in soccer, are you running for a long time and breathing while you run? Is that how you feel? Or are you, during the game, do you have a few high intensity bursts where you go as hard as you possibly can? It gets you out of breath. And then after that action is over, you're recovering by breathing to catch up on the oxygen that you spent during that sprint. That is soccer specific fitness. But for goalkeepers, they're not doing this almost at all. It's very, very rare that a goalkeeper will be actively involved doing high intensity movements for longer than 30 seconds at a time. 30 seconds would actually be incredibly long for a goalkeeper. Now, I did watch your video where you said that you had to do it once, and it was because your team took down data for the goalkeeper trainers to design their practices around it. And I think this is at least acceptable, but it's also still kind of unnecessary because the data they're collecting was probably your lactate threshold or your VO2 max, something like that, which I think is much more valuable for a field player than it is a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers, if we're going to compare it to a non team sport athlete, I would compare goalkeepers to track and field athletes, particularly the jumpers and the throwers, not the ones that are running not even 100 or 200 meters, yet the ones running 400 or 800 meters. They're not going to be pushed through their lactate threshold very, very often. Their VO2 max is very, very rarely going to be a limiting factor. But what is going to be a limiting factor is their ability to produce maximum power anytime in a game. And there are better metrics that we can use to make sure that a goalkeeper is recovered. Before training, we could test their vertical jump and see if they're still jumping as high as they normally do. If they are, they're probably fully recovered. If they're losing a few inches on their vertical jump, it's very, very likely that they're under recovered or they're undersleeping, or they've gained a little bit too much weight. Something is off. So, in short, should goalkeepers be doing the same fitness test as the field players? Absolutely not. This is actually an area to where we should be specifically tailoring it based on the demands that that position in soccer has. And yeah, even for the field players, that would vary a little bit. Positions like the striker or center backs probably need even less aerobic capacity than, say, a central midfielder or a wing back. But they both need a little bit of it, and they all need a lot more of it than goalkeepers. Goalkeepers, keep fast, keep powerful, keep strong, and keep agile. You don't need to be running for conditioning all the time. It's actually probably going to make you less athletic for your position if you do too much of it.